Hey, it's me again. It's been a while. I've missed you.
I just miss you. A lot.
We've got more Proud Family today, you will be thrilled to hear, I am sure. And while I do love going over the multiple Proud Family reboot episodes centered around shaky politics and fictional history,
do something with your white privilege!
I heard some different interesting things about the two-part special Old Town Road. It's all about the ancestral origins of the Proud Family. So let's give it a watch together. It starts off with Trudy doing a good old Ancestry.com trawl for her side of the family. Penny is impressed at these records going all the way to far-flung West African countries, and I gotta say, I am too. That is, not usually what happens with African heritage, so good for Trudy. Cool. Less good for Oscar though, whose extended family and forebears don't come up at all. Trudy doesn't take no for an answer though, and like a real MVP of a wife, she goes the full genealogist and bulldozes through every paywall to find Sugar Mama's lineage. I guess Oscar's paternal line is not a concern? I love the way she's animated here, by the way. She finds out that Oscar's family hails from Oklahoma, from a small little town called Town. Nobody except Trudy is actively interested in pursuing this further, with Sugar Mama herself seeming to get upset and shut down in a way that isn't really like her. She doesn't even properly respond to Trudy accepting the family reunion invitation on her behalf, she just protests weakly from her chair.
Well, I ain't going. Not now, not ever. And there ain't nothing that any of y'all can do to make me change my mind.
The Oscar abuse from Sugar Mama is also really amped up in these short few scenes, and I get the feeling there's a reason for that. Some justification coming in the form of a terrible family or something. So, our Proud Family journeys to Oklahoma, and does a cute little Shibuya roll call for like a solid 2 minutes, which could have been irritating if not done as well as it was here. This kind of cutesiness is what they're good at. Oh, and yet again, La Cienega is just the worst. The family arrives at Town, Oklahoma, and finds nothing. The whole place seems abandoned. Everyone minus Trudy is almost ready to go, but at Trudy's insistence, they proceed down the literal Old Town Road. I mentioned earlier how Sugar Mama's abuse of Oscar was amped up, but he's also been sassing her back more than usual.
That ain't no statue, that's him! When he first laid eyes on Sugar Mama, he froze in the steps!
The towns then materialize in front of the statue of their patriarch to confront these strange guests. The atmosphere is weird and tense, and it's clear there's a lot of history we're not privy to.
Little bit.
What did you call her?
Little bit.
We then learn at least part of why Sugar Mama doesn't want to return to her roots. She's not wanted here. It's only by yet another family matriarch's insistence that this plot progresses at all, and we finally get a hint about why exactly Sugar Mama isn't welcome.
I mean, you thought you were too good. That you didn't know your place?
What? I didn't know my place. Who the heck told you that?
The rest of the family makes themselves right at home though, and gets stuck into the chaos. Everyone finds some sort of kindred spirit, including Bibi. But then, Bibi and his newfound cousin find themselves in the path of a rampaging bull, and it's Oscar who snatches his grandfather's rope and engages in a bit of rodeo athletics to save the day, whilst Trudy—
Somebody do something!
That sounds familiar.
Do something with your white privilege!
But this ingratiates him with his family, who accept him wholly now. Penny is with the cousins, though not having a great time, and Trudy is busy right in the middle of it all, birthing endless foals, but she seems comfortable. Everyone's showing off their skills, sure, but Sugar Mama outdoes them all in terms of brawn and is a capable leader, like this woman here seems to be. Yet, she just isn't accepted by her father as such, who tells her she still can't enter tomorrow's big rodeo, an echo of how he's spoken to her in the past.
See, Paul, you don't have to worry. I'll keep up the town tradition.
Oh, no girls allowed, you know that. Now go in the house and cook dinner. I'm hungry.
In the meantime, Penny has wandered off to try and find Signal, and has found something worse instead, and throws her phone away in disgust and outrage. But she spots Sugar Mama, also fed up and on her way out, and joins her, though probably not for the right reason. Actually seeing this aforementioned rodeo competition too is double confusing. It turns out this isn't some big competition, just a family do. So why couldn't Sugar Mama compete? And this kid is in the rodeo too. If it's just sexism alone, why can she compete? On their treacherous walk through the desert, Sugar Mama and Penny encounter a man she seems to recognize, and a boy, Tai, Penny is immediately ready to dump Kareem for, though I guess after that phone call she thinks she's single now. This man turns out to be Sugar Mama's ex-fiancé, Kwana. They were going to get married, but interracial marriage with a black person was illegal in Oklahoma back then, so they resolved to run away together. But on arrival...
Come on home, little bit. That boy ain't coming.
I don't believe you, Pa.
The boy came to his senses. Why don't you come to your...
I did, Pa. That's why I'm leaving. I don't care if Quanah show up or not. This is goodbye. And there's nothing you can do to change my mind.
Fine. But if you leave, Charlotte, don't you ever come back.
So Grandpa Town threatened Kwana, but at the same time, Kwana wanted to stay to make their homeland a better place. He built himself up into the kind of man capable of doing that, but at the cost of his relationship with Sugar Mama. She still feels bitterness about the whole situation and projects that onto him, or else she just doesn't know how to deal with this. She's moved on and she has 2 children. Everyone then returns to town. And on with the show. The range of events is wide, and everyone exhibits their strengths in one event or another, even shithead Bobby. But it's the final event that is intended to be the showstopper, the bull riding. And even after Oscar has been set up to be at least competent at this when rescuing BB and his cousin, not even he can do this. In fact, he fails miserably, and finds himself about to get trampled into a dire state. Then in comes Sugar Mama to save her baby.
Sugar Mama's on her way. You better let go of my boy.
She beyond knocks it out of the park. She breaks a record and leaves the bull chilling on its back. This is finally enough to break the long-standing blind spot Grandpa Town has had when it comes to actually being proud of his daughter. The tension is finally dispelled. This pair of episodes has such a nice aesthetic to it. I've got a weakness for Wild West, deep US country type of atmospheres. I'm sure you don't find it as endearing if you live in it, but it seems cool to me. This two-parter was definitely an interesting one for a few reasons though. The first comment that comes to mind, however, is that, as nice as it all turned out, it really wasn't right of Trudy to push this. She didn't know that this was a feud that could have been resolved. Sugar Mama could have left her hometown for any number of really horrible, traumatic reasons, and Trudy wouldn't take no for an answer, literally tied her up and dragged her back into this environment. Curiosity isn't a reason to bulldoze your way into someone's past. If she was doing this for the sake of connecting her kids back to their ancestry, she could have gone without Sugar Mama. The moral we ultimately get given is that she was right, but don't try this at home. Speaking of the feud itself, Sugar Mama had good reasons to be angry with her dad, but I was initially a little baffled by his lack of reaction to every other woman in the family partaking in the rodeo and general leadership. As he painstakingly spells out his regret over his own sexism at the end, the other women nod at him like they're used to also being mistreated. But there's been zero indication of that. He seems fine with them. They seem fine with him. They could have gone with more of an angle of him being too proud to admit he was wrong to his own little girl, specifically. Old Town Road as a whole was also in keeping with an overarching message of the reboot, that heritage is important, and I completely agree. I'm actually pleased that the Proud Family reboot team didn't take the approach of dismissing the American portion of their heritage, and instead focused on it. There's a lot of pressure for people with non-white heritage to identify wholly with that and ignore everything else because it's not cool at the moment. Just focus on whatever seems foreign and offshore to the West. But the Town family has been American for seemingly centuries, and has this whole corner of the gorgeous Midwestern desert that they've made into their empire, steeped in its own history. That's cool. It's never portrayed as less than what Trudy has with her West African connections. I really appreciated that. In that vein, you can't know yourself if you don't know where you come from is also very on brand with this reboot.
Oh, what was that for, Penny?
Because you were right, Mama. You can't know yourself unless you know where you come from.
I agree with the idea that connecting to your own roots adds a lot, but this is taking it too far. Not being able to doesn't make you deficient or less in touch with yourself, or less of a person. On a slightly more positive note though, there's also something special to be said about Kwana and people like him. Those who stayed to make their broken communities better, rather than leaving them to go and build a better life. Both are understandable things to do, neither deserve scorn, and I really appreciated that there was no clumsy rekindling of love between Kwana and Sugar Mama.
I guess it just wasn't meant to be.
Some things really just aren't meant to be. I enjoyed this little special of theirs. The political messaging in this episode wasn't clumsy, whiny, or antagonistic. I may not have completely agreed with it, that you're necessarily incomplete without knowing your ancestry, but that's not a negative at all. This special was good-spirited, optimistic, and added a lot to Sugar Mama as a character. It's a shame what happened to the rest of the season, but it's also heartening to see what a good job these writers can do with the whole Proud Family's original angle. What did you think of this episode? Let me know. I love reading your comments. Every single one. Even if I don't reply to them all. You're all amazing. Until next time, bye-bye!